.6:15, this is the Sri Lanka Broadcasting Corporation. The news edited by Catherine Pereira and read by Lavani Vijayatunga. First, we take a look at the headlines. Sri Lanka introduces national fuel passes to ease queues. Kuwait Humanitarian and Friendship Society donates $10,000 worth medical items. It has been stressed that a person who has international connections should be elected as the president of the country. Sri Lanka Freedom Party says it will refrain from voting to elect a new president. Leader of the Jatika Janabalawegaya, Kumara Dissanayake, will contest for the presidential race. And in news overseas, Russia's missile attack in Ukraine results in scores of civilian deaths. Those were the headlines, and now we move on to the details of the local news. The Ministry of Power and Energy introduced the National Fuel Pass today, which allows the general public to purchase a guaranteed quota of fuel per week for their personal vehicles. The Fuel Pass was launched with the technical support of the Institute of Communication and Information Technology, the SICTA, with the intention of easing the fuel queues. Accordingly, one vehicle can be registered under one national identity card, passport number or business registration number, Power and Energy Minister Kanchana Wijesekara said, joining the launch. A QR code will be allocated to each vehicle following the registration and the verification of the chassis number, the vehicle registration number, the number plate and other details by the Motor Traffic Department. The member of the public can obtain fuel twice a week according to the last digit of the number plate using the QR code assigned to them. At the request of the Embassy of Sri Lanka in Kuwait, the Kuwait Humanitarian and Friendship Society has donated urgently required medical items worth $10,000 to Sri Lanka to help the government maintain life-saving medical supplies. During a meeting with the KHFC, Chairman Ahmad Abdullah Al-Sharaf, Ambassador of Sri Lanka to the state of Kuwait, UL Muhammad Juhar, conveyed the profound gratitude on behalf of the people of Sri Lanka for their generous contribution. The medical items include life-saving drugs and other equipment which were airlifted free of charge by Sri Lankan Airlines. This is the first time that KHFC has decided to make such a contribution outside Kuwait borders based on the request made to them by the embassy. The KHFS has been extending assistance to Sri Lankans in Kuwait by covering costs of over $81,000 on airfare, provision of dry rations and payment of school fees. Minister Vijayadasa Rajapaksa says that a successive new leader who confirms international relations should be selected by the parliament as the president. He made these remarks at a media briefing held at the parliamentary premises. He also said that a solution should be provided to the problems of the people and to expedite the development work in the country. This is the news from the Sri Lanka Broadcasting Corporation. And we continue with more local news. The Sri Lanka Freedom Party says it will refrain from voting to elect a new president as many candidates are now vying for the post. Former President Maithripala Sirisena noted that a single candidate should be elected for the office of president unanimously. Jatika Janabalawegaya says that its leader, Kumara Dissanayake, will contest as a candidate for the presidency post. Kumara Dissanayake said that his party held talks with all political parties to select two persons for the post of president and the prime minister. He stated at a media briefing held at the parliamentary premises that these two persons should not do any party politics but should listen to the voice of the people of the country. He further said that a new political culture should be established. And to conclude the local news, the headlines once again. Sri Lanka introduces National Fuel Pass to ease queues. Kuwait Humanitarian Friendship Society donates $10,000 worth medical items. It has been stressed that a person who has international connections should be elected as the president of the country. Sri Lanka Freedom Party says that it will refrain from voting to elect a new president. Leader of the Jatika Janabalawegaya, Anurukumar Dissanayake, will contest for the presidential race. And that was the local news.
The main news story is brought to you by Siddhalepa Vedamahatmya.
The main news story for this evening, the Minister of Justice has ordered the Commissioner General of Prisons to submit the relevant reports to consider the release of former parliamentarian Ranjan Ramanayake. And that was the main news story.
The main news story was brought to you by Siddhalepa Vedamahatmya.
Let's move on to Watchlight. The commuters say that some buses do not provide their service properly. They point out that some buses are operating without stopping at the scheduled bus stands, even if it has space for passengers. Some drivers are acting in such a way amidst the background of operating limited number of private buses. Therefore, the passengers are facing many hardships due to this reason. This is for the attention of the relevant authorities of the transport sector. That came to you in Watchlight. Now let's move on to the headlines of the world news. Russia's missile attacks in Ukraine results in scores of civilian deaths. The US president raised Khashoggi murder with the crown prince. Pacific Island urged unity in face of China ambition. Those are the headlines, and now we move on to the details of the world news. The number of civilian casualties in Ukraine is rising as Russian troops continue to launch missile attacks. The Ukrainian government said a missile strike in the western city of Vinnytsia on Thursday left at least 23 people dead, including 3 children. High-ranking official of the U.S. Defense Department also said that yesterday scores of civilians were killed in the Vinnytsia in a Russian missile attack. The official added that 100 to 150 civilians have been killed in Ukraine during the past couple of weeks due to Russian strikes. U.S. President Joe Biden says he raised the murder of journalist Jamal Khashoggi during a meeting with Saudi Crown Prince Mohammed bin Salman. Mr. Biden is in Saudi Arabia to rebuild relations, having previously promised to make the country a pariah over the human rights record. He said he had made it clear that killing in the year 2018 was vitally important to me and the United States. But he also said that the two countries reached agreements on other issues. 14 islands are scattered across the vast Pacific Ocean, along with Australia and New Zealand, connected by their natural environment, faith, culture and traditional knowledge. Nowadays, they also share challenges such as very real threat from the rising sea levels, more frequent storms and economies crippled by COVID-19. But the regional bloc's first face-to-face meeting is almost 3 years in Fiji's capital, Suva, didn't turn out to be the warmest reunion many expected. And to conclude the world news, the headlines once again. Russia's missile attacks in Ukraine result in scores of civilian deaths. The US president raised Khashoggi murder with crown prince. Pacific Islands urge unity in face of China ambition. And that was the world news, and now we move on to development news. Reconstruction activities of the Beliata Uduvilovava have begun. 20 billion rupees has been allocated in this regard. Water facilities will be provided to 300 acres of paddy land in the area. And that was the development news.
Sports news is brought to you by
Sampath Bank. We present your future.
Moving on to sports news, the first test match between visiting Pakistani team and Sri Lanka is being played at the Galle International Stadium. Sri Lanka scored 222 runs in their first innings, while Pakistan team scored 24 runs for the loss of 2 wickets a short while ago. That was the sports news. Business news coming up.
Cash through NSP globally and win wonderful gifts locally. From October 1st, 2021 to December 31st, 2022. Remit a minimum of $100 or an equivalent amount in any foreign currency 3 times through NSP U Trust.
Business News, sponsored by National Savings Bank, the safest place for your money.
In business news, Stax, the global management consultancy with strong presence in Sri Lanka, announced the launch of Stax Academy, the firm's learning platform for upskilling future business leaders to take on the challenges of the global economy. Given Sri Lanka's presence in economic climate, students and professionals are facing challenges to secure placements in foreign universities and bridge the gap between their skills and their career aspirations. That was the business news. Economic news follows.
Business news. Sponsored by
Cash through NSP globally and win wonderful gifts locally. Will you be the lucky winner of the NSP Golden Jubilee? 50 gold sovereigns for the top prize winner of the NSP Golden Jubilee. Scooters for the 10 second prize winners. iPhones for the 10 third prize winners. Mountain bikes for the 29 fourth prize winners. From October 1st, 2021 to December 31st, 2022. Remit a minimum of $100 or an equivalent amount in any foreign currency 3 times through NSB U Trust.
Economic news, courtesy of...
Saving money isn't easy when you have responsibility. That's why we promise to give you the best returns and guarantee on your investment. LOLC Finance Fixed Deposits. Maximize your savings. LOLC Finance PLC, incorporated on the 13th of December 2001, is rated SLA stable by ICRA Lanka Limited and is licensed by the Monetary Board of the Central Bank of Sri Lanka under the Finance Business Act number 42 of 2011.
In economic news, Sampath Bank signed a mutually beneficial memorandum of understanding agreeing to act as a corporate sponsor for the Association of International Marketing Graduates in Sri Lanka. The organization for professional marketers with globally recognized marketing credentials, AIMGSL, offers mentoring, counseling, hands-on training, workshops and networking opportunities to its members. That was economic news, and the weather report to conclude.
LOLC Finance is taking the power of innovation to the next level, winning 5 golds at the Technovation Awards 2022, leading the digital revolution with cutting-edge interbanking digital payments. LOLC Finance claims the overall gold award, whilst also claiming an extraordinary victory in digital banking. LOLC Finance will continue to innovate with the next generation digitalization of financial services, delivering a superior customer experience.
And in the weather report, the Met Department says several spells of showers will occur in the western, Sabrakamur and northwestern provinces and in the Nuwara Eliya, Galle, Mathura and Galle districts. Showers or thunder showers may occur at a few places in the Uva and eastern provinces during the afternoon or night. Strong winds of about 40 kilometers per hour can be expected at times in the western slopes of the Central Hills. And before we conclude this bulletin of news, let's get back to the headlines once again. Sri Lanka introduces National Fuel Pass to ease queues. Kuwait Humanitarian and Friendship Society donates $10,000 worth medical items. It has been stressed that a person who has international connections should be elected as the president of the country. The Sri Lanka Freedom Party says it will refrain from voting to elect a new president. Leader of the Jatika Janabalawege, Andrew Kumar Disanaka, will contest for the presidential race. And in news overseas, Russia's missile attacks in Ukraine result in scores of civilian deaths. And with that, we conclude this bulletin of news.